When you go through hard things and maybe you're rejected or just not noticed, or
right.
I think it creates a sense of humility.
Yeah.
And if you trust the Lord with it, it doesn't become something negative, it becomes something positive.
Yes.
I'm gonna fight like a champ, not a wannabe. Live like the dream is all that I can see.
Welcome back to our discussion about the underdog, the subject that we really love.
God's secret weapon, why God loves the overlooked.
If you are feeling behind or you're feeling like you're last on the list, then welcome to, this is going to be for you, all right?
Yeah.
So we just want to encourage you to subscribe.
Yes.
So you won't miss anything coming up in the next time we're together. And we want you to, we'd like for you to share in the comment. You know what I'd like to hear? I'd like to hear that you're still in the fight.
Yeah.
So if you make a comment, be sure you put still in the fight. You know what's tough? You know, it's tough when you're doing everything right. You know you're supposed to be doing something. You're being diligent. You're faithful. You're working super hard and using your gift, and you still feel invisible.
Yeah.
We know that feeling.
Oh, yeah.
Man, we know that feeling all too well. We've lived that. And,
Yes.
you know, there was a time I felt overlooked and passed over, wondering if the dream I had even really mattered at all. And maybe you've been there too. So I'm going to share a little story with you. This little story time. It's kind of like, this is going to be the prequel to the story I told in, I think it was the Imposter Syndrome, where I talked about auditioning for Amy Grant. So this is like the prequel. Like if I ever do a movie, this is the prequel to that story.
Yeah, gotcha.
And so before I ever moved to the Nashville area, I used to live in Colorado. And at the time I was singing in a group, and we were playing different venues around town. I mean, we were pretty well-known local, kind of a local band and that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
And I had met a person that lived there that booked shows for Christian artists in the Colorado area, Fort Collins,
Kind of like
Denver.
a concert promoter.
Yeah, a concert promoter at that time. And so that's how I met her. And, you know, from doing gigs, she came out to a couple shows, that kind of thing. And so I think I was maybe at home or something. She called me and she said, "Hey, I'm going down to Red Rocks to see a concert. You want to go?" And I was like, "Of course."
Yes.
I mean, that place is, if you've ever been to the amphitheater in Red Rocks, it is a gorgeous, gorgeous amphitheater. And so there were several artists performing that night. One of the artists was David Meese. And so I'm sitting, you know, she goes backstage. She was my ride, so I wasn't going anywhere. I'm sitting out there in the audience. I'm waiting for her to come back. And she comes back out and she says, "Hey," she said, "I just found something out." She said, "David needs background singers for his new tour that he's doing." She said, "I just set up an audition for you."
Oh my God.
I was like, I didn't even know what to say to that. I was like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
It was like, wow, this is a little scary. So anyway, I went backstage, and she introduced me to David, and there was a guitar sitting there. And so I found the person whose guitar it belonged, who was the guitar's owner, because never ever, kids, touch a musician's gear,
without asking,
without permission.
Yeah.
And so I asked this guy, "Can I borrow a guitar?" He said, "Of course." And I played a quick little song for David. I used to play guitar a lot back then. And he's like, "I really like your voice."
Wow.
He said, "I really like it, but you're going to have to audition for my management company." And I was like, okay. It just so happened that they ended up being in Colorado about 2 weeks after after meeting David and auditioning. And the funny thing is, this management team was his manager, but they were all managers, but they were also Amy Grant's managers. So this little story kind of ties to each other.
Yeah.
So I went to where they were, auditioned for them. They were like, "Man, that's really, really great. But we got to be honest here. We have got tons of background singers to choose from in Nashville.
Yeah.
We're not going to have any problems filling
Mm.
that spot. We appreciate you coming and audition, but you know we're good," kind of thing.
Wow.
And it was...
That must have taken all the wind out of your
It
sails.
did, because I had been dreaming for just the opportunity
Right.
that could take me from the level I was at
Yep.
up to the next level, and that obviously was the opportunity.
Right.
And so I was disappointed. I was heartbroken, disappointed, just really down. And because I had such high expectation that this door was about to open for me.
Yeah.
And I had been so, I had been out doing gigs, singing, doing that thing, being faithful, really working on it, working hard on my singing and all of that. So this, I don't know what it was, but something in that moment switched, because it's like all of a sudden after that, all of my musical opportunities dried up. It was about 3 months. Within 3 months of that audition, the band I was in fell apart. I wasn't doing any singing whatsoever. Nobody was doing anything. It was just like it just dried up. It was like a tumbleweed rolling through a deserted town. And I was at the point of just really wondering, am I even supposed to be doing this? Am I supposed to be in music? And I was so discouraged. And I just sort of did the only thing I knew to do was to go, okay, I can always go back to college and get a degree in something, although I was really unsure about what that was, because it was like I had been so focused on one thing.
Right.
So I went to so anyway, here's what happened. So there is a little bit of a good thing that happens at the end of the story. The day that I had paid to register for college, I left there, went back home, got a phone call, and it was my friend that set up all the audition and said, "Guess what? You've been picked as one of the background singers for David."
Oh my gosh.
I could not believe it. I couldn't believe it. Now, I lost my $75 or whatever it was to put down the for the registration of college, but I was like, I couldn't believe it. And within, I think it was exactly a month after I got that phone call, I was in Nashville rehearsing to go on the road with David. And that tour was really my first real steps into what would eventually become my life in Nashville. So here's the whole point of that story. And this is part of what I think ties into the whole underdog thing, the underdog mentality. Is that when no one else sees you, and when you are overlooked, you are told, no, you didn't make the cut, or you don't have A, B, C, D going for you, you keep going. I mean, this is where you have to hunker down and you have to keep going when no one expects you to keep going or notices you. Because here's the factor that means everything above all. God sees you.
Yes.
God sees you when no one else sees.
Mm.
And that is what makes you God's secret weapon.
Thank you, Father God. That's good.
Yep.
We're definitely an underdog.
Yeah.
You were unknown. You were in the middle of nowhere, so to speak.
Yeah.
You didn't have any clout, no name.
Right.
And that's often what underdogs look like and are,
Yeah.
And so you're thinking, well, why does God choose underdogs then? You know what I mean? If people are that quick to overlook somebody, then why in the world does it happen that these people, these underdogs, yourself, us, get picked? And it's because God has a reason.
Right.
He's got a plan.
Yeah.
And he loves to choose underdogs. And the reason is because it's a way he can show himself strong.
Right.
He gets to be seen when it's so clearly not your connection and not your talent and not your blah, blah, whatever. Run down your pedigree of reasons why. When that's not the reason, everybody kind of goes, well, that's got to be God.
Right.
And he gets the glory. It's not that, he never denies us being seen or says you can't have any, notoriety. That's not the point. There's something in every human heart that knows the difference between just man doing something and God doing something.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that the Lord puts in all of our hearts. And I'm
Right.
not saying that it's clear all the time, but
Right.
man, so many times, you know, you look at somebody or something that happened, and then you find out the story, and you go, "Oh my gosh, there's no way that would have happened if it wasn't God."
Right.
This goes back to David's story,
Right.
and David was the underdog,
Mm-hmm.
and yet God told Samuel to pick David,
Mm-hmm.
eighth in his family. And so here's the scriptural reference, 1 Samuel 16:7. And he's talking about, the other brothers. But the Lord said to Samuel, "Do not consider his appearance or height, for I have rejected him. The Lord does not see as man does. For man sees the outward appearances, but the Lord sees his heart."
Right.
And so this is an amazing, kind of behind the curtain. We get to pull the curtain
Right.
back and go, okay, what was God? How did this happen?
Yeah.
We get to see God speaking directly about something
Right.
that, if you'd been standing there, you're going, what in the world? Why did he do this?
Right.
And you would have gone, that can't be right. But God, I loves this. He looks at the heart. He doesn't look at the outward appearance. And he prioritizes your heart above everything else.
Right.
Where's your heart?
Yeah.
David was out tending sheep. He wasn't chasing the spotlight, so to speak. Hey, I'm the next dude,
Yeah.
It's these simple things, these kind of following him, being in relationship with him. Kind of a phrase you might say, chasing God.
Right.
You're
You're pursuing him.
Man,
Yeah.
I can say this is so true. Because, God doesn't necessarily always make everything super easy. And when I say he doesn't make it easy, let me rephrase that. God is not trying to keep you from being in relationship with him, but there's a sense in which your own flesh keeps you chasing after you. And there's something when it flips and you begin saying, I'm going to deny faith, chasing after my own reasons, identity, purpose, yada, yada, yada. And I'm going to start chasing after God. And God brings the understanding of who you are. He starts to tell you who you are. You start finding out, this is who I really am.
Yeah.
And that changes kind of everything as to why you're doing what you're doing. And he values close relationship. These are part of being in that relationship with him, is that you value that close relationship with him, and he values you making that relationship close. Your faithful service when you're not noticed.
God notices it.
He does.
He notices.
God elevates us at the right time.
Yep.
Even Jesus spoke about the man who would, rather than taking the seat at the head of the table, take the seat at the low, take the low seat and let the one who's in charge bring you forward. Right. Sorry, I'm making 4 points. This is point 4. Faithfulness matters even when it's not seen.
Yeah.
Even when you're unseen.
I think that counts more than anything.
Yeah.
I really do.
It's huge.
Like, it can feel a little cliche to say that, but it's really, really true. When God sees your faithfulness, that's what really counts. Not what everybody else sees. It's what he sees that counts.
I think his grace is experienced when we're just trying to be faithful to him in the most menial or, secret ways, and nobody knows.
Yeah.
But our hearts are doing it for him because we're trying to follow him and be made into his image.
Right.
Matured into his image. And if you think about these Old Testament people that we mentioned, David, Gideon, Hannah, New Testament, Peter.
Yeah.
They really went through a number of things that were pretty common. Pain, loss, compassion was part of one of their good traits, and trustworthiness as well.
Right.
So those character traits and those experiences kind of come together in a way in which we begin walking in the identity and the maturity that then God begins to move through.
Right. It's like, God uses people who They've lived through something.
Yeah.
And we live in a fallen world, and everybody has some kind of trouble coming at them. The pain that people go through is not something that God's just...
He's doing it.
He's doing it.
He's not the one doing it.
But when you notice these, like you think about these different people, David was experiencing the pain of being overlooked by his family,
Rejected
by
his brothers.
And
those were people, not God.
Yeah, those are people. Saul.
Mm-hmm.
Saul it was great for a time, and then David was running because he was running for his life.
Yeah.
I can't think of something more scary and painful than that. Then you feel like, if I get caught, I'm going to die.
Right.
That's what he was facing. And but what's interesting is, through all of that pain, David ended up becoming a trustworthy leader. For the most part, he had some issues, but that's for another episode. Yeah. We're not gonna focus on that.
Yeah.
But he was a person that people could rally around, which I love. If you read about his story, it talks about David's mighty men.
Yeah.
They rallied around him because there was something that they could trust about his leadership.
I think it has to do with humility.
Yeah.
When you go through hard things, and maybe you're rejected or just not noticed, or
Right.
I think it creates a sense of humility.
Yeah.
And if you trust the Lord with it, it doesn't become something negative, it becomes something positive.
Yes, exactly. And the thing about Hannah, is that she was tender before the Lord. And he gave her a child, and that child happened to be Samuel, which is so incredible how those two stories kind of tie together.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Gideon was, he didn't want the gig. He did not want to have to be the one that had to rise up and be the guy that led the people against I believe it was the Midianites, or
Yeah, I think that's
it was
right.
some kind of an Ite.
One of
group.
the Ites.
One of the Ite groups was
Ite and Tina Turner.
Yeah, it was just, it was not a good situation. They were being robbed from, and their food was being stolen. All this stuff was happening. And he was the guy.
Yeah.
And there was some humility there, I think. There was a thin line between being humble and being insecure. He probably was dancing across that line a lot. I would think.
Yeah.
And he was someone that God saw great potential in. And then, of course, we talked about Peter. Peter, after all that happened surrounding the Lord's crucifixion and him running and not being there, denying the Lord, he was restored.
Yes.
And because of that restoration, he was able to lift up other people. And so there's a great scripture. It's out of 2 Corinthians 1, and it's verses 3 and 4, and it says that the God of all comforts us in all of our troubles, so that we can comfort those in any trouble. That pain is not wasted.
Oh, yes.
It can be used in your life, in our lives, to bring comfort to other people.
Yeah, that's good.
And
So
then
good.
there's the truth that you're not disqualified because of struggles. You're not disqualified because of pain that's been in your life.
Thank you,
But it
God.
does build compassion, and it builds a platform of influence. So this is something that we just the point that we want to drive home, because this is the enemy's weapon, is that he loves to say, well, you're not good enough, you're disqualified.
Yeah.
And you might have heard that from other people, but that's just not the truth at all. God can use that.
Yes. Amen. Well, just sort of a way of kind of synopsizing this sort of like what seems like a process of where you're going through hard stuff, you feel broken, you feel, invisible, and then like coming into that sense of identity and purpose and fullness, So
Right.
Just a few thoughts. Delay is not punishment. God's not punishing you.
Right.
Delay can be, and very often is, preparation.
Right.
God is at work in your heart, building some unseen foundations that your future is going to really need.
Yep.
So if you don't have those, you'll get to that place and you won't be able to hold up. So God doesn't want you to experience that. He's
Right.
going to prepare you. When things go wrong, often God, so good that God can take those things that seem like they were horrible and reframe them, so to speak, as like strengths. The thing that I thought was going to kill me now becomes the thing that makes me stronger and able to do things that I couldn't have done had it not been for God taking that and making good come out of
Right.
it. That's one of the reasons I got saved way back when I got saved, was believing, coming to a place of believing the God I didn't know said, I will take the things you went through and I will make good come out of them.
Right.
Romans 8:28, for God causes all things to work together for our good for those
Right.
who love him or are called according to his purposes.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I may put the right verse number up if I didn't get that right. And just this idea that your story, the hard things you have gone through and then come through, really begin to shape who's going to be affected by my story, who's going to be affected by the thing I'm called to.
Right.
And it begins to set destiny, and it begins to kind of set impact as to what you're going to be able to do and how you can affect people for God's kingdom.
Yes. And so we are, as I mentioned before, I really love this topic. There's so many great stories in the Word, but there's also great stories just in general about people who overcame some incredible things, the underdogs. And I think our human nature, we want to see the underdog win the fight.
Exactly.
And so we're going to stay on this topic for a little while. And as we continue going on with it, we're going to do a little bit more of a deeper dive into it. We want to get into, how does an underdog actually rise and make the impact that God's called him to make. So what we want to do is encourage you again to subscribe. Do subscribe. Share this with people.
Yes.
If you know people that really need some encouragement right now.
Yeah.
That feel like, hey, I've been left out, I've been overlooked, then I really hope you invite them to come and listen to some of these things. I'm not saying we're experts. Or that we, we're just sharing from our own personal
We're
experiences.
just in the fight with you.
Yes, and we do want to remind you again, please comment.
Yeah.
Still in the fight.
Still in the fight.
And
comment.
we just want to leave you with reminding you once again that you're not alone. So we'll see you next time.